Well, good morning. Welcome back to GP Outdoors into Central Ontario. We've got a beautiful morning today, but I hear that rain's on the horizon. Today's a big day for the channel. For those of you that follow, you'll know that this summer I've got to start building some walking trails through the forest for my wife and my daughters. I promised them for a couple of years now that I have the tractor, and this year I've got to start delivering on that promise. So today's video is going to be episode number 1 in a new playlist called Blazing New Trails. I'm looking forward to it. You may remember in early spring I took my drone and took it across the property before the forest filled in. And you're probably thinking to yourself, how am I ever going to find my property lines and the edges of the property now that the forest is so full? Well, I had the same question. So episode 1 today, taking care of step 1 before you start to build trails. Grab a coffee if you've got some time, stick around. Let's see what's going on the cabin. Cheers. Well, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm Gord.
I'm John. I'm Greg Bishop.
Oh, good to meet you.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for coming.
Oh, no problem. We're the surveyors.
Okay,
So what'd you have in mind?
well, I'm going to be building some trails through the forest, and I got to be honest, after all these years, I honestly don't know where my property lines really are.
That's a good idea because a lot of people make that mistake, and that way you don't get involved in encroaching on your neighbors, and you know your boundary lines, and saves a lot of problem.
Good stuff. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. Jared.
Jared,
Greg
I'm
Bishop
Gord.
Survey.
Pleased to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you.
So do you guys need anything else from me today?
No, we're good, thanks. We're going to grab our survey tools and go find some bars and get set up and start running your sidelines for you.
Okay, well thanks so much guys. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, just
Thank
let
you
me
very
know.
much.
Cheers.
Yep. Big rock here, maybe it's underneath. Got it. It's here. That's a good sign.
Oh, so you found it, John.
There it is.
Oh, see, I've been looking. I've looked so many times. It was hiding under a rock.
Under a rock.
Well, I'm glad we finally got it.
That's
Good.
not as glad as we are.
Good stuff.
That gives us a join from here to the one we just tied in, and we can make sure our calcs are correct.
Okay, great. And what's this big yellow instrument you have here?
We call it a magnetic bar locator. It picks up steel in the ground. It'll
okay.
go down about 3 to 4 feet,
Okay, great.
and it helps find our survey bars if we're close, say within a couple feet, and it'll pick them up. It just makes a screaming noise.
Okay, excellent. Good stuff.
Not much fun in the wintertime.
Well, I'm glad we finally found it. Thank you.
So are we. This is good for us. There you are.
So, John, how do you guys possibly find these monuments or these stakes and try to see through this dense forest?
Usually once we get 2 bars, and then we can turn off plant angle, and then we trim it out with either a chainsaw or we trim it with axes, so we can physically see, because we need a line of visual.
Okay, great.
And then we can put markers online, find the next set of bars, and go from there.
Okay, great. Thanks. Hey, Jared. So what are you up to? And what's this?
Oh, how's it going, Gord? This is a survey transit that we use. I'm setting up here so I can visualize that bar there and this bar here, and then when I tie them in with John, we can calculate the distance to make sure the bearing works in the rotation. So then I can move the transit from here to the survey bar and then turn the line up and start cutting up your property.
Okay. All right, thanks. Good luck, guys.
No problem, thanks.
Cheers. So a little windy today, so I apologize for the audio, but I'll tell you, I'm really happy I finally, after all these years, got these guys out here. I thought I was kind of an anomaly because, in all honesty, I was a little embarrassed because I've never actually known exactly where the property line is. And that's because, one, it's a dense forest, and as you know, through the forest it undulates, it's hilly, there's a lot of trees and foliage, and I can't see from one marker to the other. And the second issue I've always had is I can't find a number of the monuments. They're either missing or they've been pulled out, or they're buried in the ground, or I just can't plain find them. So I'm pretty excited today because I'm finally, for the first time, going to know exactly where the property line actually is.
You could go up another 100 feet if you want. That'd be close to 100 feet, eh? Yeah. All right, that's good. Okay.
Well, I'm definitely going to need a lot more chips than this once I start building those trails. I'm really glad that I got Greg Bishop Surveying out here today because I have had this property for years and it's always kind of bothered me in the back of my mind that I never really knew exactly where my property lines were. And now not only do I know where the property lines are, but I got a little bit of an added benefit. There was a couple of pieces of the property which I actually didn't think were mine. I thought they belonged to one of my neighbors. And it turns out it's my property. So now I've got a little more land than I thought I did. So now my property is completely staked out. All of my property lines are clear. I'm going to grab some T-bar and I'm going to pound in a few more steel rods along that property line because between monuments they put small wooden stakes in and they're pretty easy to pull out of the ground. But this should help to keep a permanent view of it as I go forward over the years. But either way, I know where my property is. I know now when I start to build trails, I'm not going to be encroaching on anybody else's property because once you start clearing wood, you can't put it back after. So I feel pretty confident. Plus, I've got more property than I realized I did. So that's a wrap for part one of Blazing New Trails. I wanted to put a special thanks out to John and Jared from Greg Bishop Surveying. Really nice fellas, great company to deal with, and really happy they were able to come out here and help me out today. So thanks so much. If you like the channel, please click subscribe, click the like button, and if you want to know when I'm posting more videos, just click that little bell. Have a wonderful week with your families, and I'll see you again on the next one. Cheers.